Hi friends, welcome to the channel The Nurse. We are discussing about neurological nursing questions and answers with the rationales. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. Don't forget. Before going to our topics, there is an information for you. You might be heard about upcoming CSIR UGC NET examination in November. So those who are preparing for these CSIR UGC NET examinations, there is an opportunity. Unacademy provides CSIR UGC NET examination preparation course. It will be a 15 days course. In these 15 days, there will be 120 plus hours of live classes. These live classes are conducted by the experienced toppers of the Unacademy teachers. 120 plus hours of live classes. It will be a free classes, so you can go and check it there. I will give you a link in description box. So it will be a great opportunity for you. You can revise your topic and you can score a high marks in upcoming CSIR UGC examinations. So best wishes. So we will go to our topic, neurological nursing and questions. Nursing MCQs and their explanations. So question starts now. First question. Which of the following is the best method of opening airway of the suspected cervical vertebrae injury? Which of the following is the best method of opening airway of the suspected cervical vertebrae injury? So here it is an important thing is cervical vertebrae injury. So options are flexed position, head tilt chin lift, jaw thrust maneuver, modified head tilt chin lift. Correct answer is jaw thrust maneuver. In cervical injury, we need to follow jaw thrust maneuver only. Jaw thrust maneuver in the sense we will open without tilting the cervical injury. We will open the airway. So we will move the angle of the jaw downward and open the airway. So that is the jaw thrust maneuver. In head tilt and chin lift method, there is a movement of the cervical vertebrae. So that is aggravate the cervical vertebrae injury. So because of that, we need to use jaw thrust maneuver only in the cervical vertebrae injury or suspected cervical vertebrae injury. Next question. Which of the following is used to test the unconscious patient's peripheral response to the pain? Which of the following is used to test the unconscious patient's peripheral response to pain? Sternal rub, nail bed pressure, pressure on the orbital rim, squeezing of the sternocleidomastoid muscles. So important thing is peripheral response. So correct answer is nail bed pressure. All other sternal rub, pressure on the orbital rim, squeezing of the sternocleidomastoid muscles are examples of giving central reflex, central response to the pain. Only pressure on the nail bed is the checking assessment of the peripheral response to the pain. So like this we will check the responses to the pain. So other orbital rib pain and sternocleidomastoid muscles pinching and sternal rib, these are the examples of central response to the pain. If patients move or localize the pain, that will be the example of central response of the pain. So peripheral response usually it may be due to reflex reaction also. We cannot predict whether it is brain response or spinal reflex. So we cannot believe peripheral reflex always, but we need to check the peripheral response also in unconscious patient. A central stimulus is one which can only be successfully found if the brain is involved in the response to the pain, as opposed to peripheral stimuli which can induce as a result of reflex. Another next question. Which of the following position is used for lumbar puncture procedure? Which of the following procedure is used for which of the following position used for lumbar puncture procedure? Lateral with the pillow under the hip, prone position, semi-follows position, lateral with legs pulled up and head bent down onto the chest. Procedure is lumbar puncture. So you need to think about the lumbar puncture procedure and answer. The correct answer, lateral with the legs pulled up and head bent down onto chest. That is C-shaped position. That is used for lumbar puncture. So here is an example of two position used for lumbar puncture. First is lateral position, lying down, lateral position, and another is sitting position. And usually L3, L4 is used for lumbar puncture. That is the location for lumbar puncture, L3 and L4, between L3 and L4 vertebrae. Next question, in which of the following conditions have trends include increasing temperature with blood pressure and decreasing pulse and respirations? In which of the following conditions have trends include increasing temperature with blood pressure and a decreasing pulse and respiration? Dementia, increased intracranial pressure, decreased intracranial pressure, cerebral aneurysm. Increasing temperature with increasing blood pressure and decreasing pulse and respiration. So these conditions are usually seen in increased ICP. In increased ICP, the temperature and blood pressure will go high and pulse and respiration will go down. That is a typical sign of the increased ICP. Early signs and symptoms of increased ICP are changes in the mental status, such as disorientation, restlessness, mental confusion, purposeless movement, and increased respiratory effort. So early changes in the increased ICP includes disorientation, restlessness, mental confusions, purposeless movement, and increased respiratory effort. And then common symptoms include headache, blurred visions, confusion, high blood pressure, shallow breathing, vomiting, changes in the behavior, weakness or problems with the moving. These are the common symptoms include common symptoms of increased ICP, but in early symptoms include disorientation, restlessness, mental confusion, and irritability, and increased respiratory efforts. Next question, which of the following position is contraindicated in increased intracranial pressure? Which of the following position is contraindicated in increased intracranial pressure? Head midline, head turned to side, neck in neutral position, head of the bed elevated 30 to 45 degrees. So which position is contraindicated? Here correct answer is head turned to the side. Head turned to the side. This will reduce the draining of the CSF. That is why it is a contraindicated position in increased ICP. In increased ICP, we need to keep in a neutral, the spine will be in a neutral position and there will be head end elevation for 30 to 45 degree. So bed, head end of the bed we need to elevate to 30 to 45 degrees and neck should be in neutral position. It should not bend or flex inwards. So that will reduce the CSF outflow. That is why it is contraindicated. If a patient suspected of having increased ICP, method to reduce the ICP are, first one is elevating the head end of the bed. Elevating the head end of the bed to 30 degrees. Then keeping their neck in a neutral positions. Neck will be in a neutral positions, that will helps to drain more CSF due to the gravity. Then avoid overhydrations. Hypervolemia also increases ICP, so reduce the overhydration. So keep normal hydration only, no need to keep overhydration. And Fourth one is maintaining normal body temperature and maintaining normal oxygen and carbon dioxide levels. So importance of maintaining normal body temperature and oxygen and carbon dioxide level is it will increases the metabolic activities. If the metabolic activities increases, it will leads to increased blood supply. Increased blood supply to the area, that is brain is the one of the main organs using more blood. So if it is increasing blood supply to the brain, that will causes more pressure inside the cranial cavity. So that will be that will increases again the ICP. So we need to maintain normal body temperature and normal oxygen and carbon dioxide level in body. So these are the 4 points to reduce the increased ICP. Elevating the head end of the bed to 30 degree, and the second one is keeping the neck in a neutral position, and third one is avoid overhydration, and fourth one is maintaining normal body temperature and oxygen and carbon dioxide level. So next question, which of the following measure helps to avoid elevation in intracranial pressures? Which of the following pressure helps to avoid elevation in intracranial pressure? Options: blowing nose, isometric exercise, coughing vigorously, exhaling during repositioning. So measure helps to avoid increased ICP. Correct answer: exhaling during repositioning. Exhaling during repositioning reduces the intracardiac intrathoracic pressure, so it will helps to reduce, it will helps to prevent increasing the intracranial pressure. And blowing nose and coughing vigorously causes increase in the pressure inside intrathoracic cavity, so that will leads to intracranial pressure. And again isometric exercise also increases intra-abdominal pressure, so that will also leads to increased ICP. So that is why exhaling during repositioning is used for positioning for patient. Activities that increases intrathoracic and intra-abdominal pressures cause in an indirect elevation of the intracranial pressure. Activities that cause intrathoracic and intra-abdominal pressures. That is why I told coughing vigorously and blowing nose. Activities that increases intrathoracic and intra-abdominal pressures are: intra-abdominal pressures causes an indirect elevation of the intracranial pressure. They are blowing the nose, isometric exercises, and coughing. So that will increases intra-abdominal or intrathoracic pressure. So that will leads to intracranial pressure. That will leads to increase in the intracranial pressure. Some of the activities include isometric exercises, Valsalva maneuver, that is important. That is why patients are getting stool softness. Suspected intracranial pressure elevation patients are may get stool softness to avoid Valsalva maneuver. And coughing, sneezing, blowing the nose are the activities that may cause increase in the intracranial pressure. Exhaling during activities such as repositioning or pulling up in the bed opens the glottis, which prevents intrathoracic pressure. So that is why during positioning, exhaling, we need to teach the patient to exhale. So that will leads to open the glottis and reduces the intrathoracic pressure. Next question, which of the following condition is characterized by severe throbbing headache, flushing of the face and neck, bradycardia, and sudden severe hypertension? Which of the following condition is characterized by severe throbbing headache, flushing of the face and neck, bradycardia, and severe hypertension. Options: spinal shock, pulmonary embolism, malignant hypothermia, autonomic dysreflexia. Severe throbbing headache, flushing of the face and neck, bradycardia and sudden severe hypertension. Correct answer is autonomic dysreflexia. It is a fatal condition. If it is untreated, it will cause death of the patient. Autonomic dysreflexia is caused by an irritant below the level of injury. Usually, the level of injury will be thoracic vertebrae 6 or above. Thoracic vertebrae 6 or above injury will cause autonomic dysreflexia, and the causes includes bladder irritation. First one is bladder irritation, that is a precipitating factor for autonomic dysreflexia. Urinary tract infection, blocked catheter or overfilled collection bag. So bladder related causes for autonomic dysreflexia includes bladder irritation, urinary tract infection, blocked catheter or overfilled collection bag. This may precipitate autonomic dysreflexia. And second thing is bowel related. They are distended or irritated bowel, constipation or impaction, hemorrhoids or anal infections. These are bowel related precipitating factors for autonomic dysreflexia. Then some common causes that will include skin infections or irritations, cuts and bruises, abrasions or pressure sores, ingrown toenails. So if you are thinking that will be a small issue, that will also precipitate for autonomic dysreflexia. It is a fatal condition. Burns and tight or restrictive clothing. So if it is suspected autonomic dysreflexia, first aid management is remove the tight dress. Anything causes tight in the body, that we need to make relax. So that is the first action of autonomic dysreflexia, first aid. Next question: to assess the coordinated function of the cranial nerves 3, 4 and 6, which of the following tests to be done? To assess the coordinated function of cranial nerves 3, 4 and 6, which of the following tests to be done? Corneal reflex, pupil response to light, 6 cardinal fields of gaze, pupil response to the light and accommodation. We are assessing cranial nerve 3, 4 and 6. So correct answer, 6 cardinal fields of gaze. 6 cardinal fields of gaze means we are assessing the eye muscles, functioning of the eye muscles that are controlled by cranial nerve 3, 4 and 6. So I will show you how to assess. So the neurologist will show the finger and tell us to move our eyeball according to the finger movement. So he will move sideways, both sideways he will move, and up and down, then oblique. So we need to move the eyeball both sides, up and down and obliquely. So these are the 6 cardinal fields of gaze. So this is an example for moving both sideways, right and left side, and then up and down, then obliquely. Assessing the function of third cranial nerve, that is oculomotor nerve, fourth cranial nerve, that is trochlear nerve, and sixth one abducens nerve. So to assess the third, fourth and sixth cranial nerve, we will do 6 cardinal field of gaze. Next question: which of the following is known as the trunk line of nervous system? Which of the following is known as the trunk line of nervous system? Synapse, spinal cord, hypothalamus and ganglia. Trunk line of nervous system. Spinal cord is known as trunk line of nervous system. Next question: Respiration is controlled by respiratory center located in. Easy question. Respiration is controlled by respiratory center located in small brain, large brain, midbrain, medulla oblongata. Correct answer is medulla oblongata. Respiration is controlled by medulla oblongata. All the cardinal functions, most of the cardinal functions related to circulation and respiration are controlled by medulla oblongata. Functions of medulla oblongata includes respiration, cardiac function, vasodilation and reflex like vomiting, coughing, sneezing and swallowing. So medulla oblongata does respiration, cardiac function, vasodilation and reflexes like vomiting, coughing, sneezing and swallowing. These are the functions of medulla oblongata. Next question. Brodmann's area 46 refers. Brodmann's area 46 refers primary motor cortex, primary auditory cortex, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, primary visual cortex. Brodmann's area 46 refers. Correct answer, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So Brodmann divided the cerebrum into 52 parts according to the similarity of the cytology and histology. So Brodmann's area 46 refers dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. I will show you the classification. So like this, Brodmann's classified the cerebral part into 52 areas based on the histological structure and organization of the cell. So Brodmann's area 46 located here. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex plays a central role in sustaining attention and managing working memory and has recently been shown to regulate self-control. So this Brodmann's area 46 or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex plays an important role in sustaining attention and managing working memory and has recently been shown to regulate self-control. It is one of the few cortical areas whose activity is diminishing during REM sleep. So this is the one of the few cortical areas functions reduces during the REM sleep. That is Brodmann's area 46 or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Next question. Spaces between Schwann cells of neurons are called. Easy question. Spaces between Schwann cells of neurons are called nodes of Ranvier, synapse, Nissl body, ventricles. Correct answer is nodes of Ranvier. Nodes of Ranvier is known as the space between the two Schwann cells. Schwann cells are seen throughout the axons in the peripheral nervous system. Schwann cells are main glial cells in the peripheral nervous system and play essential role in the survival and function of neuron. So Schwann cells provides essential role in the survival and function of neuron because any injury to the small axons will repair by the help of Schwann cells. So next question, which of the following neurotransmitter is not a monoamine? Questions you need to read carefully. Not a monoamine, that is the question. Examples of options: dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, glutamate. Correct answer is glutamate. Glutamate is not a monoamine. All other dopamine, norepinephrine and serotonin are the examples of monoamines. Monoamines refers to the particular neurotransmitters dopamine, noradrenaline and serotonin. So these are the examples of monoamines. Dopamine and noradrenaline are sometimes also referred as catecholamines. Out of three, dopamine and noradrenaline is known as catecholamines. So next question, the cerebellum is located in middle cranial fossa, posterior cranial fossa, anterior cranial fossa and sella turcica. Correct answer is posterior cranial fossa. Cerebellum is located in posterior cranial fossa. Next question, the brain area that involved in receptive language functions that are localized in left hemisphere. The brain area that involved in receptive language functions that are localized in left hemisphere. Wernicke's area, Broca's area, caudate nucleus, hippocampus. Correct answer is Wernicke's area. Receptive language functions that are localized in Wernicke's area. Next question, the mechanism of action of alcohol on the brain is attributed to. The mechanism of action of alcohol on the brain is attributed to release of GABA, release of dopamine, suppression of acetylcholine, release of epinephrine. Correct answer, release of GABA. This neurotransmitter will suppress the motor activities. That is why after alcoholism, patient's activities will reduce. Actually, it will reduce the activities, alcoholism. Which of the following is true about neurotic depression? Which of the following is true about neurotic depression? Best treatment is ECT, usually is bipolar, there is no insight, usually associated with anxiety. Correct answer, usually associated with anxiety. Neurotic depression usually associated with anxiety. Next question, reflex action is controlled by. Reflex action is controlled by muscles, limbs, central nervous system, autonomic nervous system. So correct answer is central nervous system. Reflex action is controlled by central nervous system. Main part is spinal cord. Next question, autonomic nervous system controls. Autonomic nervous system controls conditioned reflex, functioning of visceral organs, reflex actions. Correct answer, functioning of visceral organs. Autonomic nervous system controls functioning of visceral organs that are not by our wishes. The organs that works without our wishes are known as visceral organs that are controlled by autonomic nervous system. Next question, which one of the following is the smallest cranial nerve? Which one of the following is the smallest cranial nerve? Options, trochlear, spinal nerve, olfactory, vagus. So here correct answer is trochlear. Trochlear nerve is the smallest cranial nerve. Trochlear nerve is the smallest nerve in the terms of number of axons it contains. So trochlear is the smallest cranial nerve. Next question, the sympathetic nervous system is otherwise called. Sympathetic nervous system is also known as thoracico-lumbar system, cervico-sacral system, visceral system, mesenteric system. Correct answer is thoracico-lumbar system. Sympathetic system is also known as thoracico-lumbar system. Next question, largest cavity inside the brain. Largest cavity inside the brain. Options, diacol, paracol, metacol, rhinocol. Largest cavity. Correct answer is paracol. Paracol means first and second ventricle, or also known as lateral ventricle. The four cavities of human brains are called ventricles. The four cavities inside the human brains are called ventricles. There are four ventricles. In that, first 1 and 2 ventricles are known as paracol or lateral ventricles. That are the largest cavities inside the brain. The first and second ventricle present in the two cerebral hemisphere is called paracol. They are the largest cavities inside the brain. Next question, Which of the following function is controlled by parasympathetic system? Which of the following function is controlled by parasympathetic system? Pupil constriction, acceleration of heartbeat, stimulation of sweat gland, contraction of air muscle. Correct answer, pupil constrictions. Pupil dilation is controlled by sympathetic nervous system, but pupil constriction is controlled by parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for the body's rest and digestion response when the body is relaxed, resting or feeding. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for the body's rest and digestion response when body is relaxed, resting or feeding. It basically undoes the work of sympathetic division after a stressful situation. So it will be a opposite of the sympathetic nerve system. So if sympathetic nerve system is doing dilation of the pupil, parasympathetic causes constriction. The parasympathetic nervous system decreases the respiration, heart rate and increases digestion. So it reduces the heart rate and respiratory rate but increases the digestion. Next question. Which of the following nerve originates from medulla? Which of the following nerve originates from medulla? Optic nerve, oculomotor, vagus, acoustic. Correct answer, vagus nerve. Vagus nerve originates from medulla oblongata. The cranial nerve originating from medulla oblongata are glossopharyngeal nerve, that is cranial nerve 9, vagus nerve, that is cranial nerve 10, accessory nerve, that is cranial nerve 11, and last one is hypoglossal nerves. 4 nerves are originating from medulla oblongata. 9, 10, 11 and 12. Last and final question. Thermoregulatory center in human brain is? Thermoregulatory center in the human brain is pituitary, diencephalon, hypothalamus, none of this. Easy question. Correct answer is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the thermoregulatory center in the human brain. So questions ends here. Thank you for watching this video and please like and share this video with your friends and don't forget to subscribe our channel Dinesh. Thank you.